Hey. Okay, family, this is part two of whatever I'm going to title this. It's probably going to be like Insular Worlds, World Beyond the Poles, Flat, Atlantis, Google Earth, Hawaii, B.o.B. It's going to be the longest title. It's going to have all that. Some of that we haven't got to yet, right? So I told you I was going to have to do a part two. My camera cuts off around like the hour and a half mark, so my voice is still gone. Warning, do not attempt to watch this video without watching part one. It will do you a great justice just to wait and be patient. Go back and see part one so you can fully get caught up on all this drop, because there has been a rhythm and a pattern to it that you don't want to miss. If you're brand new here, I would suggest you go back and just really catch up on all the drops so you really know the journey that, myself and the family have been on, Drop Nation. But if you don't want to do all that, I'm sure that this frequency is so beautiful, you'll be able to sink right in wherever you are, wherever you need to be. So, hey, if you got to do it, let's go. So, we're talking about Socrates. We're talking about, you have this site pulled up already. Hopefully, you got it already. Oh, if you can see it there. Okay. Click that link. We drop how Plato viewed Atlantis. Now we're dropping how Socrates viewed Atlantis. The war between the Athenians and the Atlanteans. How the Athenians said, hey man, these Atlanteans have invaded us unprovoked. That right there lets you know they're trying to spin it if they say unprovoked. How you know? How you know if somebody did something? That's just what you want to bend your story at. So these Greeks go to war against these Atlanteans. Somehow the Greeks get the drop on this particular war, or these powers, right? These remember they had like nuclear weapons back then. I mean, they had all kinds of amazing weapons. So whatever weapon the Greeks used, they got the drop, and they pushed. Remember we had this map up. All right. So sorry, my voice is going out, but roll with me. So the Greeks, they said the kings and the kingdoms of Atlantis came on them unprovoked. Somehow Greek Athens comes to the rescue, right? And then they use some weapon or whatever. And they get the drop and they push them back past the pillars of Hercules, which I believe are right here, that connected this to Atlantis. This became unnavigable. It became a big wall of mud, they said. Go back to part one, you'll see. And we'll keep going. So there's a partition here that they just crossed in 14 such and such, right? So these Greeks pushed back, and then it said that the earth started going crazy, and all these volcanic eruptions and earthquakes happened, and it sunk the city of Atlantis. So the Greeks finally got past the Pillar of Hercules into Atlantis, where the two poles are, whatever portals those are, right? We're pontificating, we're journeying along. So perhaps the two poles, North and South Pole, are both on this side of the hemisphere. And that which we call our North Pole, which will be the center, is actually a central pole. And the actual two poles are located over here. They got past the wall, the Pillar of Hercules, and then the Most High said, nah, you ain't gonna get to those poles, man. And he sunk them. He sunk this whole portion. But remember, Atlantis is a plural of Atlas. So this wasn't the whole thing, it was all of it. These were all the islands of Atlantis. We are still living in the center of it, which is why they call Cusco, Peru, the navel of the earth. It's the navel of our earth. It's the navel of this section. This is the center. Cusco, Peru, is the center. That's why Peru is Zion. Zion is the center. Peru, Salem, the P is silent. It is Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Peru, navel. Cusco means this. Just look it up in Wikipedia. Cusco, New Mexico. What does it mean? It'll say the navel. They refer to it as the navel, and I believe that's the navel. Now we're getting deeper, right? That's why I'm losing my voice. I can't stop talking about this. I'm calling people. We're having conversations. It's going crazy. So, all right, let's proceed. Back to this fallen angel drop. So you gotta, pull up. You know what I'm saying? Genesis and the whole fallen angel mating with mankind, and then they get the Nephilim and the giants come out of this mixed seed. So this is where we're picking up, where they're confirming in their own writings. They say, "Oh, you can't confirm the Bible with the Bible." Well, let's use the Greeks. Let's use Socrates and let's use Plato. Lego. Once upon a time, the gods were taken over by lot, the whole earth, according to its regions. So they took over the whole earth according to its regions, not according to the result of strife. So they had no beef. They were all up one order, somebody else's order now, right? The chief of the demons, the chief of the fallen angels. For it would not be reasonable to suppose that the gods were ignorant of their own several rights, nor yet that they attempted to obtain for themselves by means of strife a possession to which others, as they knew, had a better claim. So they said, if you got a better claim, angel, look at Jubilees and see what we're talking about. Look at Enoch, see what we're talking about. Okay? So the order, the 200 that came, and these chiefs were over this, and this was over him, and he was over him. All right? So they didn't have no strife. They said, all right, well, if it's more reasonable for you, you can have that land. Whatever land it is, right? Whatever part of the land it is. So remember, Heya sent angels down to confound us. Heya mixed up. He sent them to mix up the languages, right? To confound us. And he sent and put an angel over every single area. This is just a macrocosm. Over everything, over all these denominations, there's little angels over them. Fallen ones. But they are still in order. They are the chaos coming out of the order. They are created as chaos, and some are their seed. Some are also chaos. Those that they produce are also chaos. So who is fallen angel seed? Because they can't help but to be chaos. You know what I'm saying? Only the Most High can, purify that. I'm not saying it's impossible. That's why I believe, there are going to be a few. That's what we're trying to understand. Let the Most High work, but that's how it generally goes. Order and chaos. Who's mixed with this seed? Well, they're claiming they are, right? The Greeks, the Romans. I know we're putting something together. I don't see the full picture, but I know somebody does. Let's go. Okay. So by just allotments, lots, they received each one his own part of land, and they settled their countries. And when they had thus settled them, they reared us up. Reared who up? The Greeks up. This particular seed up. Even as herdsmen rear their flock to be their cattle and nurslings only, it was not our bodies that they constrained by bodily force. So we dropped this in part 1. Like shepherds guiding their flocks with a stroke of a staff. So it wasn't a physical thing that they ruled us by. Whatever force they were ruling us by wasn't a physical one, like shepherds guiding their flocks with strokes of staff, but they directed from the stern. This is your stern, your mind, your pineal gland. They shut the light from your eye. You can't see, you can't vibrate. You can't see what the prophets used to see. They shut your eye. They shut that gland, that pineal gland, that pine cone. You put, you drink all that milk and all that stuff just calcifies your pineal gland. Learn how to declassify, or whatever it is, unclassify, declassify. Learn how to get better. All right, so they ruled them by the stern. It's directed from the stern, where the living creature is easiest to turn around. What they do, they flipped you around. They flipped you upside down. They flipped the map upside down, right? So where the living creature is easiest to turn about, laying hold on the soul by persuasion. They get to your soul. They get to your ruach by persuasion, by idols, by religion, by persuading us, that we are not who we are, that we are not the firstborn, that we are not the Mashiachs put here as the root of the tree of this earth, and that it's going to take our action to make it all happen, our order to, take away the disorder. You know what I'm saying? That's the frequency we're on right now. So let's build. Let's go. Now check this out. All right. So laying hold on the soul by persuasion as by a rudder according to their own disposition, and thus they drove and steered all the mortal kind concerning the allotments of the gods, the fallen angels. They that portion out the whole earth here into larger allotments and there into smaller, and provided for themselves shrines and sacrifices. So what do you hear about the shrines and sacrifices? You hear about the Aztec, the shrines and sacrifices. Well, there was ones way back in Atlantis. There was an angel that chose the Atlanteans, that land, to jam up. He was the fallen angel that said, hey, I'm going to be jamming you up. Okay? So they provided for themselves their shrines and sacrifices. I think a lot of these pyramids are their shrines and sacrifices. Pyramids to the sun, pyramid to the moon. All right, follow your ruach. Is that you? Is that 432? I know they're nice and big and gorgeous, and but we're not beasts. We don't have to just look at things with googly eyes. We can actually feel them, right? So is that a frequency grid? Is that a grid to get you under the firmament and trap you there so that they can do their work and have their will on the children of the Most High? Did you build a big frequency grid? Why would you have to build an artificial grid if you connect to the throne? And again, why is certain, people's work in academia leading them to measure these pyramids at 440 and even say that Egypt or the Pyramid of Giza is one of the few artificial chakras? So think about how high science you got to be to create an artificial chakra. Were they not the high science, chemistry, high sciences? They were connected to the highest luminaries, right? Under the firmament. All the way to the luminaries, all the way to Orion. They were aligned to Orion. They were connected to the celestial. Not the creator, not the throne. Not 432, 864, 1728, the higher octaves. So now we wake up, the first thing we do, we marvel at the first black civilization that we can verify, right? And then we say, yeah, that's us, that's us, that's us. We're not even understanding. Just because it's higher, just because it's secret sciences, and it's so high above our layman stuff, doesn't mean they're connected to the highest throne, the highest frequency. And I'm telling you, this octaves above the firmament. And they tricked man. They said, look what we can do. Look at all our high sciences. We can connect you to the stars. Don't you want to go to the heavens? Don't you want to connect to the highest stars and frequencies of the stars and the constellations? Saturn and Jupiter and Mars? Don't you want to connect and see all this ancient history. We can teach you more than everybody knows. So you got your what, your boulets, you got your secret groups and all this kind of stuff. Somebody asked about I forgot her name. One of the comments about Kappas and Black Greek, fraternities and all that kind of stuff. If they are members of like automatically members of some secret stuff and boulets. Nah, man, they don't trust no kids with that stuff. I pledged when I was 17. You know what I'm saying? So, in the damn near 8 weeks, what I'm saying, that we went through our undergrad process, the real thing, at that time, which was crazy. We was all out of our minds. But hey, man, that's part of my past. I don't shun none of it, man. I embrace all of my history. It's all a part of me, man. So, I just told her, I don't remember any type of super secrets that we learned that would help us do anything other than some type of stuff. Maybe if I go back through it now, we did get more drop. Maybe we had way more access to drop that I even knew, But that stuff really kicks in later, once you kind of make yourself in a professional career, you kind of get, familiar with, higher ups. Then you get your boulets, then you get your secret groups, you know what I'm saying? But that is a gateway. I'm sure it is. Having that as a gateway to get to other, so definitely I would say it's definitely a gateway. But nah, like your average AKA, SG Row, you know what I'm saying? A5A, KSI, Noops, you know what I'm saying? Average of them, Deltas and all that, nah, they just chilling. They partying and having relations, smoking and drinking and whatever they doing, man. Getting C's and B's like me, having too much fun. But but yeah, let's get to it. So this is true story, family. It's being validated on both, sides here. You know what I'm saying? There's these sides where they said everything that way, everything in the Western Hemisphere to them was Atlantis, man. Or something like it. And they were the world that they knew. And they couldn't get past to our world because of the sinking of this particular continent. And the only reason why it was sunk was to prevent them from crossing into where all the drop is. And I'm telling you that you are native, you are a Negro, you are from where all the drop is, meaning that this is part of your drop, believe it or not. Now checking, concerning the allotments of the gods, meaning their land, that they portion out the whole earth. One more time. I gotta keep the visual. They portion out the whole earth. All these gods came, right? All these fallen ones under the firmament. They can't go back above the firmament ever. Understand that. You have power over them. You have a higher frequency. But you allow yourself to be controlled voluntarily, even if it's subconsciously. But that is changing rapidly. So concerning the allotments of the gods, that they portioned out the whole earth here into larger allotments and there into smaller, and provided for themselves shrines and sacrifices, pyramids. Even so, Poseidon took for his allotment the island of Atlantis, and settled therein the children whom he had begotten of a mortal woman in a region of the island of the following description. What? Poseidon took for his allotment the island of Atlantis. That means all the continents, North America, South America included, and settled therein. Remember, Poseidon is melanated. Zeus, melanated. All their gods are melanated. So we're talking about black people. We're still talking about melanated people. You understand? Don't hear Poseidon and just get the image of the Greek stuff, because they change your images, just like the Jesus, just like all this other stuff, right? They're all switched images of stuff. So we know our HaMashiach, you know what I'm saying, is trill. It's just their Greek package of it. It's just, it's so Greek. Look what the Greeks are talking about. We can't trace stuff back to them and feel comfortable about it. All right? They're the enemy, right? The Athenians versus the Atlanteans. That's what they're saying. That's what Socrates and Plato are saying. All right, 100 BC and such and such. Or, before that, whatever it is. So Poseidon took for his allotment the island of Atlantis. Please pause it. I'm not making this up. Research it yourself. Fact check. Do what you do. Poseidon took the island of Atlantis, all right, and settled therein the children whom he had begotten of the mortal woman. So he's a fallen angel mixed in with a mortal woman. Let's hear about this. He said, with the following description: bordering on the sea and extending through the center of the whole island, there was a plain, which is said to have been the fairest of all plains and highly fertile. If we're talking again about the center, now I propose we're talking about Peru. And we're talking about whatever that is, Machu Picchu, maybe something like that. We're talking about the center. Cusco is also Peru, the center. I believe this Poseidon, this black Greek, so-called Greek, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, this fallen angel that they're calling Poseidon in the Greek. I think somebody has to drop on what that translates to outside the Greek. But this particular angel chose the islands, the continents known as Atlantis, which some of them were sunken, but they're not telling you that you are still living on the rest of it. That's why this is the new world. That's why America has the most oil, gold, everything here. And it seems like the center was preserved. So other parts broke off all around. You see these little islands that broke off. But the center of it is still, I think, Peru. The center of it is still right there. That's why they're putting their churches up over there. They reconstructed the Solomon's Temple right there in South America. They keep coming to South America with all this religious stuff because they're trying to hack into the energy. That's the center. Center of something. That's all I'm saying. Let's go. Okay. So, okay, here we go. So Poseidon comes down. He takes Atlantis. He settles it therein. The children whom he begot. So multiple deities, half deities, right? These are demigods. Even demigods, really. So these are Nephilim, who he had begotten of the mortal woman in a region of the island of the following description: bordering on the sea and extending through the center of the whole island, there was a plain which is said to have been the fairest of all plains and highly fertile, and moreover near the plain, over against its center, at a distance of about 50 stades. I don't know what a stade is, but somebody tell me. Of about 50 stades, S-T-A-D-E-S, there stood a mountain that was low on all sides. Look this up and check this out. This is to a higher mark. Thereon dwelt one of the natives, originally sprung from the earth, autochtones. Autochtones. Where we gonna have it? Autochtones. Look at my finger. Autochtones. Autochtones. Whoa. So now we're getting the drop on autochtones from Socrates himself, saying that there's an original native people. And he's saying Poseidon came down there to jam it up, but he's saying that he had to mix with the natives that was already there. So he's confirming that there were native people there on the island in in South America, in the Americas, before this fallen angel Poseidon came to jam everything up and mix the seeds and do all this and do all this and do all that and do all that. Alright, so that's just the beginning of the downfall. So whatever the fallen angel technology that came out of that mix, whatever happened with the Greeks and all the war between the Atlantis and the Greeks and the kings, I don't know whose side they were on. I don't know if they was in that Poseidon frequency or what frequency, but the war happened and there were natives then, and those natives are the same natives now. They're telling you your same story. Are you paying attention? They're telling you your same story. The same biblical story. Are you paying attention? Let's go. So check it. There stood a mountain that was low on all sides. Therein dwelt one of the natives, originally sprung from the earth, autochtones. Now, Yevno, Evenor, Evenor, by name with his wife. So Evenor, or Ilnor, Ilnor, by name. I think it's Euenor. Somebody please look that up. Euenor, by name, with his wife Lekippe, spelled Leukippe. Lekippe. And they had for offspring an only begotten daughter, Cleito, Kleito. I don't know why. For some reason, that reminds me of Khalifa. You know how they say there was a Queen Khalifa. She was the queen of all these. I don't know. For some reason, Cleito, spelled Kleito. I know we're all going crazy here because it's all kind of great drop, probably activating in a lot of people right now. So I feel it. It's like you're bouncing your energy, whether it's, past or future. I feel your energy even if you're watching this in the future. And when this damsel was now come to marriage age, her mother died, also her father, and Poseidon, being smitten with desire for her, wedded her, and to make the hill, first of all, it says her mother, it says, and when the damsel was now come to a marriage age, a marriageable age. What's that, 12? I mean, these are Greeks we're talking about, right? So what's a marriageable age? It got to be, what, 12? 13? So when she's about 12 or 13, her mother and father died. It didn't say how they died, but suddenly Poseidon said, whoop. Poseidon said, cool. They gone. Let's get married. So clearly he probably killed her. Killed them. Killed her mama and her daddy and took her at 13 or 12 years old. We're putting this in perspective. Alright, so Poseidon, being smitten with desire for her, wedded. He was smitten with desire for her. Smitten. So of course he killed her mama and daddy to get to her. They probably was like, nah. And they, alright. So this is Cleito. And when, alright, so Eonor and Lekippe are dead now. Now, Cleito is now about 12, 13. And then Poseidon is smitten with desire for her. He wedded her. And to make the hill whereon she dwelt impregnable, whatever that means, to make the hill whereon she dwelt impregnable, he broke it off all around about. And he made circular belts of sea and land, enclosing one another alternately, some greater, some smaller. So now we got the circles. You know how you see the modern pictures of Atlantis? It's the circles with the water, circle, water. They're really showing you Poseidon's Atlantis. They're not showing you the original Atlantis before Poseidon came and jammed it up and killed this poor girl's mom and dad and took her. And then he took her, and then he started making all these rings to make it hard for people to get to her or his little fortress. So when you see that target, you see Atlantis. You see Poseidon. They're still worshiping their gods. Symbols are everything, right? So Poseidon took her. Alright. He said, to make the hill whereon she dwelt impregnable, he broke it off all round about, and he made circular belts of sea and land, enclosing one another alternately, some greater, some smaller, 2 being of land and 3 being of sea, which he carved, as it were, out of the midst of the island. And these belts were at even distances on all sides, so as to be impassable for man. For at that time neither ships nor sailing were yet in existence. So they're saying this is before ships. Okay? I don't know. And Poseidon himself set in order with ease, as a god would. So he's the god now, right? The central island. Alright? So this might be that serpent stuff. This might be all that, when you see the serpent mound, all the serpent stuff, This might be that serpent Ah, this might be that feathered serpent that Lex Will was dropping. I'm sure he already put that together. But he was talking about the feathered serpent, you know. And then we got Poseidon over here, and it says, as a god would, he set himself the central island, bringing up from beneath the earth 2 springs of water, the one flowing warm from its source, the other cold, and produced out the earth all kinds of food in plenty. And he begat 5 pairs of twin sons and reared them up. So these are all more demigods, Nephilim. And when he had divided all the islands of Atlantis into 10 portions, these are probably the 10 kings. I don't know. I'm just putting stuff together. And he assigned to the firstborn of the eldest sons his mother's dwelling and the allotment surrounding it, which was the largest and best. And him he appointed to be king over the rest, and the others to be rulers, granting to each the rule over many men and a large tract of country. And to all of them he gave names, giving to him that was eldest and king the name after which the whole island, here we go, giving to him that was eldest and king the name after which the whole island was called, and the sea spoken of as Atlantic, the Atlantic Ocean, giving to him that was eldest and king the name after which the whole island was called, and the sea spoken of as the Atlantic, because the first king was then reigned, who then reigned, had the name Atlas. That means that land ain't even called Atlantis. It's been renamed after Atlas, Poseidon's eldest son. And Atlas is a plural, or excuse me, Atlantis is a plural form of Atlas, meaning many islands, many continents. And then you get your North America, South America, and the islands. You get it? So it's not even called Atlantis. Whoa. So what do we call it? I don't know that drop. Somebody figure it out. It's not called Atlantis, so let's get over that trickery. So he was named Atlantis, and the name of his younger twin brother, who had for his portion the extremity of the island near the Pillars of Hercules. All right. So he had this area, the extremities of the island near the Pillars of Hercules. So he had this part. This is the extremities near the Pillars of Hercules. I believe this is West Africa. That's my, there's some reason that led me to that, but, something there. So I believe that that's West Africa and crossing in, because that's what they considered the old world. That's what they knew. And they couldn't get from here. So I think there was a partition here, Hercules here, that whole situation. It's something I'm trying to remember too, but it'll come. So that's once they got that down, they crossed here. This got sunk, so they couldn't get here. And this is my way of interpreting it now for some reason. So let me know yours. We're sharing our drop, right? Keeping it flowing. So let's get to the last of this part, and then we're gonna, keep it flowing. Okay, so that was Atlas, and the name of his younger twin brother, who had for his portion the extremity of the island near the Pillars of Hercules, up to the part of the country now called Gadeira. Gadeira. I don't know what that is. After the name of that region was Eumelos in Greek. Eumelos. I'm spelling it so that someone can pick it up in Greek. But in the native tongue, Gadarios, which fact may have given its title to the country. Okay. Don't know what that is. And of the pair that were born next, he called the one Amphorus and the other Eurymon. You got the link, you can check it out. And of the third pair, the eldest was Nemsius, and the younger Autochthon. Autochthon. And the fourth pair, he called the first Elasipos and the second Mestor. And of the fifth pair, Azaias was the name of the elder, and Diaprepes to the second. So all these themselves and their descendants dwelt for many generations, bearing rule over many other islands throughout the sea. So this was a family of rulership. This was a ruling family. We just showed you the drop of Egypt being in Illinois. Research Little Egypt. Research Egypt Lake. Research all those, just go back to part 1 and you'll see what the research. So I'm just not connecting this as I'm looking at this, because again, I haven't read this. So I'm glad I'm reading it now. So you research all those names in Greek, because they might go back to some type of dynasty names. But here's where it gets interesting. So all these themselves and their descendants dwelt for many generations, bearing rule over many other islands throughout the sea, and holding sway besides, as was previously stated, over the Mediterranean peoples. So these people, over the Mediterranean peoples, as far as Algeptos, Egypt, and Tyrrhenia, Italy. So this is happening at a time when they're saying, this is how Poseidon first set up shop. This was how the bloodline was spread out, and how they ruled from here all the way up into what we would call Egypt now. But all that was not called Egypt back then. We know that, right? So all these words are titles that are put in later, so we got to throw away the titles. Don't think Egypt. Don't think Aegyptos. Alright, just think that landmass. So we're not getting confused. We know what landmass we're talking about. Think Libya. You know what I'm saying? Think Nubia. And a very interesting side note is when you look up the Emerald tablets, I don't know all the validity of the Emerald tablets. Apparently they're like some indestructible emerald type of tablets written by Thoth or Tahuti. You know what I'm saying? And in that, he breaks down in the very beginning, when he goes to Egypt, or what we call in Egypt, Mizraim. And according to him, but check it out yourself, don't take my word for it. I think it's in the chapter 1 or 2, where you can actually look on the audiobooks and just put it on YouTube and listen to the audiobook. That'll catch you up, so you can kind of catch up. Just listen to the audiobooks of the Emerald tablets. I think it's chapters 1. But once you get to chapter 1, you're going to want to hear the whole thing, because it's very interesting how they were mapping out the underworld and like make a left. And if you see these people do this, and you don't want to get caught with. So they were literally going through some other world, which I think is the celestial. It's above us, right? But it's below the firmament, so it's still the underworld. And yes, there is an underworld under us, so it could be both. But when they buried, their pharaohs, and they buried them with, their army with them, or certain members of their army were buried with certain pharaohs to protect them in their travels. Well, the Emerald tablets breaks that down of how they had to go particular ways, and that's why they were mapping out an alternative way to the celestial. That was the mystery, that was the secret, but they weren't getting above the firmament. Now we understand with the throne of the Creator, and how he had his own heritage that was able to connect straight to him, and that was their power until their power was decimated. I mean, really, we cut our own selves off. We went after all the little shiny things that the fallen angels were doing with the pyramids and all this kind of stuff, all the little cool stuff, and he just fell back because he knew we were going to fall victim to it. We had to go through this process. Now we see it was trickery. Now we see we only need our Creator. We only need our Creator in a few things, man. We need each other. So, I'll read this again. It says, so in all themselves, so all these, make sure we good. All right. So all these themselves and their descendants dwelt for many generations, bearing rule over many other islands throughout the sea. Again, Egypt is here. All throughout Illinois, all to the Grand Canyon. Egypt is huge here. So you got to think about it from a perspective of Egypt being here. All right. Turn around before I get a crook in my neck. Sometimes I get pinched nerves around here. All right. So you got to think of it from a perspective of Egypt being here. You know, again, we're just going on a journey. Don't get married to nothing. We're just suffering, connecting the dots. Egypt here, ruling the islands from America, because they were here. Egypt was here and there. They had the corner surrounded in that frequency. That's why they needed the pyramids, if we're pontificating that. That's very high science, right? And that is how it connects to the Creator. Except it doesn't connect to the throne of the Creator. So, all of these themselves and their descendants dwelt for many generations, bearing rule over many other islands throughout the sea and holding sway besides, as well as previously stated, over the Mediterranean peoples. As far as, so over, it's saying specifically the Mediterranean peoples. So it's saying that these kings, these 10 kings, right? These 10 kings, and this is crazy. I mean, I didn't expect to get this much out of it. These 10 kings from this fallen angel seed of Poseidon, the serpent king, right? Remember, Eden is here. Columbus himself thought Eden is here. And that means that the serpent whole story had to be here, and that this might be the serpent story that you're actually seeing kind of played out a little bit. But in this particular case, there's you know, whether it came before or after, I'm not saying this was Adam and Eve, but we already know that these are talking about nations, with Adam and Eve are nations. So however this fits in, I'm sure somebody's going to fit it in with the Aztec stuff and the Mayan cliches and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, fit this in. He says, so all these themselves and their descendants dwelt for many generations, bearing rule over many other islands throughout the sea and holding sway besides, as was previously stated, over the Mediterranean peoples, Hebrews, as far as Alegyptos, Egypt, and Tyrrhenia, Italy, or Rome. As far as Rome, Egypt, you see this connection? Now, a large family of distinguished sons sprang from Atlas, but it was the eldest who, as king, always passed on the scepter to the eldest of his sons, and thus they preserved the sovereignty for many generations, and the wealth they possessed was so immense that the like had never been seen before in any royal house, nor will ever easily be seen again, and they were provided with everything of which provision was needed either in the city or throughout the rest of the country, for because of their headship they had a large supply of imports from abroad, and the island itself furnished most of the requirements of daily life, metals to begin with, so everything was already in America. Okay, we're talking about America, right? We're talking about Atlantis, Atlantic, the Atlantes, Atlanta, right? Alright, so the metals were already here, both the hard kind and the fusible kind, which are extracted by mining, gold mining, and also that kind which is now known only by name, but was more than a name then, there being mines of it in many places of the island, Alright, so it had a name. It's now known only by name, but was more than a name then, this metal. So we might just know this metal as gold. This might be talking about gold here. But it's actually more than that, is what they're saying. This energy, this substance. Okay? Or actually, nah. What are we talking about? It says, I mean, orikalakan. So let me keep reading, because I get ahead of myself. I mean, orikalakan. And in parentheses, it says, mountain copper. Oh, man. So we're talking about copper. Copper colored races. Who's the copper colored races? Why are they using that term to define us? Is it just about complexion, or are we just trying to figure out what copper looks like? Is it even deeper than that? They said they only know it by name, but it used to be more than that. Don't you get it? I'm starting to get it. I hope you are too. Copper is a battery. Battery is energy. Your copper colored races right now is known as just a name, but back then was more than that. To be copper colored races means that you have the battery, that you are the conductor, that you are the conductor of the energy, that you are the conduit, should I say, of the energy that connects to the throne. You, Negro, copper colored race, are the conduit, are the root of the tree that connects to the throne. Copper color, copper, conduit, metal. That's the importance of your copper colored skin, right? It's to remind you that you're copper color, copper metal, copper energy, copper conduit. But your energy's been hijacked by pyramids and cool stuff. You want to walk around and take tours in it. They got your pharaohs. That shows they've been conquered. That shows we've all been conquered, right? So we shouldn't be proud of that. Copper color races found here. You to look at what's American. I mean, should we just go ahead and just do that? In the 1828 Webster Dictionary. Oh, you already know what I want, baby. Baby, I haven't done this in a while, so cool. Let's do it. This was one of the first wake-up points for me, so sometimes you forget the basic stuff, right? Some of y'all ain't never seen this. I'll put the link up, but you can Google it yourself. The Webster Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, 1828. Type in the definition of American and read it. Pause it yourself. This is their definition in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary in 1828. Remember, around the 1800s when all this drought was being investigated. That's when all these inquiries are being written in the Boston Society into these new people in this new world that they finally got to cross over this partition and bring their idol to trick them further and subjugate them further into 440 hertz. American, now a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. The name America must always exalt pride and patriotism. Washington, yeah. It must, right? So we should be proud. We should, be patriots of being copper-colored races. So you look that up. Let's finish this drop out. So he says, for because of their headship, they had a large supply of imports from abroad, and the island itself furnished most of the requirements of daily life, metals to begin with, both the hard kind and the fusible kind, right, energy, which are extracted by mining, and also that that kind which is now known only by the name, but only by name, but was more than a name then, there being mines of it in many places of the island. I mean, Orikakan, Orikakan, Orikhalkon. In parentheses, they say mountain copper, which was the most precious metal of the metals then known, except gold. So it went from gold, copper, both conduits. I don't know how kind of conduit silver is, right? But I know gold and copper are the best. First is gold, second is copper. It's both here with you. You are both. It brought forth also in abundance all the timbers that a forest provides for the labors of carpenters, and of animals it produced a sufficiency both of tame and wild. Moreover, it contained a very large stock of elephants, for there was an ample food supply, not only for all other animals which hunt the marshes and lakes and rivers and the mountains or the plains, but likewise also for this animal, which is in its nature, it is the largest and most ferocious. Whatever this huge animal is, right? Right? We got our theories. And in addition to this, it produced and brought to perfection all those sweet scented stuffs which the earth produces now, whether made of roots or herbs or trees or liquid gums derived from flowers or fruits, the cultivated fruit, and all this kind of stuff. So this is just talking about the land that was already here, and that's why Poseidon chose this place, right? He had his choice first, so he must be, you know what I'm saying, Satan itself. Could this be Mastema himself? Could Mastema be Poseidon? We'll do a quick little riddle. Poseidon, Lucifer, Jupiter, Zeus, Saturn, Satan. Remember, in Greek mythology, Saturn is the father of what? Jupiter? Saturn is Satan. Saturn has a seed, or its greatest son is Jupiter, which is Zeus, right? And then they get into some type of issue. I think Saturn tries to eat the rest of the luminaries, and then Jupiter has to split open the belly, and he rescues the other luminaries, the other angels, and then they now serve under Jupiter, which is the son of Saturn, the son of Satan, Satan's spawn. Those planets aren't planets, they're angels. Saturn is an energy. That's why people worship Saturn. That's why there's Saturn worship, the cube, you know. In Islam, they walk around the cube. That's Saturn. They go around it, they kiss it, they give energy to it. You know that's not the creator, right? So Saturn isn't, you know, it's everywhere. The cube, you know, you see the cube everywhere. That's Saturn. You know, the cube worship, the peacock, like Les Will brought out. You know what I'm saying? But Jupiter is the sun, right? So in Christianity, it's all about the sun. Even the peacock is about the sun because it's about Jupiter. They're following Jupiter. Jupiter is also Apollo. Apollo is also the sun god, right? Zeus, Iesus, Jesus. Without the J, it's Iesus, Zeus, Iesus, Zeus. Jesus is Zeus, is Jupiter, is the son of Saturn. I know you can keep rewinding it because I'm just kind of working it out. Saturn is Satan, Lucifer his son. So you got, you know, these people in these Vaticans, they sing these songs like, "Oh Christ, you know, you're the son," you know, or something like that. You're the, you know, Lucifer's son, something like that. You know, they always sing to it. So, you know, however it works out, they're all working together. You know what I'm saying? However it works out. But that's your Apollyon, that's your Abaddon, you know what I'm saying, in Revelations and all this kind of stuff that, you know, gets the key He gets the the star that falls down, gets the key to the bottomless pit. That's Jupiter. That's Zeus. That's Isus. That's Jesus. That's the Son. You're gonna be. They got this Project Bluebeam and all this stuff. These holograph stuff. You're gonna see it. You're gonna believe it. It's gonna look like aliens. It's gonna look like Jesus is falling down, but it's gonna be like this other image that and the Pope's gonna be behind this thing. It's gonna be this big charade. It's gonna happen. The only people that are not gonna fall for it are the people that are rooted, that know they're not spinning, that are in swag frequency. You know what I'm saying? Know they're indigenous. They know they're dropped. They know they're connected to the throne above the firmament, and that all this clown work is just under the firmament circus acts. You got to be rooted in the Creator, or you're going to get swept away by whatever's coming. And that's true. They're going to sweep away at your subconscious. You got to tune yourself out of it. Don't think you got the drop on it. You don't. You got to tune yourself out of it. You got to choose up. That is Apollyon. That's who they're waiting for. Their Christ is the anointed of the Greeks. Who's the anointed of the Greeks? Zeus. Alright? And however that works out, if that's Zeus, remember these are black deities. These are melanated people. These are fallen angels, they're melanated people. So if Zeus had whatever connection to the Eastern Hemisphere, and if Poseidon had the Western Hemisphere on lock, and if they kind of went into their own war, Zeus and Poseidon, and that's the Athenians and the Atlanteans, and that's their beef with you today. But maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I should just finish this up. So, yeah, they had all these trees and all this stuff. I mean, it's a lot here. You know, I'm just going to let you get it because it's a lot. It's a lot. I think we covered enough of that. So let's keep going. This is a... do I want to drop this now? Yeah, I'm going to drop this one. We talk about sound. I wanted us just to get a quick picture of sound. You know what I'm saying? And when the Most High gives His word, I want you to understand. So we talked 432. Now just kind of take a step back and just think about sound. Don't worry about which frequency this is and this. We know what 432 looks like. Go back, check out those drops. So now you know what it looks like when you see it. And just focus on the sound itself, not so much the frequency, you know, even though it's all the same, right? It's all energy, sound, vibration, frequency, all hertz, all our measurements of energy, titles of energy. It's all one thing, energy, the Creator. Heya, heya, it exists. It is established, right? So just check out some of this and just focus on, meditate on the Creator and sound when you watch some of this.
Alexander Lauterwasser is a photographer who makes captivating images of water under the influence of sound vibrations. As a child, Alexander raised tortoises at home in Heiligenberg, Germany. He came across illustrations of Chladni sound figures that bore a striking resemblance to a tortoise shell.
Die, das war das Überraschende für mich, sehr enge Verwandtschaft haben mit Strukturen in der Natur und besonders hier mit dem Schildkrötenpanzer.
Chladni figures are named after Ernst Chladni, an 18th century musician and physicist. He spread sand on metal plates and played them with a violin bow. The vibrations from the bow caused the sand to gather into beautiful geometric forms. Next, Alexander discovered the research of Hans Jenny, a Swiss physician, who took up and expanded on Chladni's work in the 1960s using fluid mediums and electronic amplification of sound. Jenny coined the term cymatics, from the Greek for wave, for this branch of study. Today, Alexander Lauterwasser is building on the work of his predecessors, employing modern sound and recording equipment. He has custom-built devices which allow him to stimulate various materials, such as sand or water, with sound vibrations whose frequencies can be precisely controlled.
Das Ganze auch dokumentieren zu können und festhalten zu können, wird es hier mit einer Videokamera gefilmt. Wenn das alles richtig eingerichtet ist, gehe ich an den Frequenzgenerator, beginne mit einer relativ tiefen Frequenz.
We're about to start going up in octaves.
The sand is pushed from areas where the vibration is strongest and collects where it is the weakest, forming patterns that correspond to the particular tone that is applied to the plate.
Let there be light.
The frequency applied, the more complex and detailed is the pattern that results. Under controlled conditions,
just meditate on this. Sound. Sound. We showed it in water. What do you see? You see a star. If this was the somatic experiments with sound moving through the medium of water, you would see an explosion of light. When you see stars above you, they are energy, sound vibrations, light vibrations. I don't know if they are individual angels per se, but they are definitely energies. Maybe they are dwelling places of energies, and they dwell and have different frequencies, and they are at different levels. That's why you see them different colors. Some are more red, right? Some are more root chakra, some are whatever. Okay? But as you raise above, they're going to see the more complex patterns. That's when you get above the firmament. So I'm going to back it up so you can see how the pattern switches as he goes up in octaves. Meaning if I take 432 and I double it to 864, I went another higher heaven. I was already above the firmament, now I went to a higher heaven. Every time you see this switch up, think about going to a higher heaven. And think about what's going to happen to the earth in real time. It will move like this and go into a higher heaven, a higher dimension. 432, the New Jerusalem, all that.
these forms are repeatable.
Let's back it up.
The sand is pushed from areas where the vibration is strongest and collects where it is the weakest, forming patterns that correspond to the particular tone that is applied to the plate. The higher the frequency applied, the more complex and detailed is the pattern that results.
Higher.
Under controlled conditions, these forms are repeatable.
All right, guys. Get ready to surf the wave. Hold on. Hold on to something. Hold on to your phone. Hold on to your laptop. Hold on. Here we go. Wow. Higher. Higher. How high do you want to go? Which heaven do you want to go to? How does your body feel? You feel that tangling? That's another frequency you're in. So high, you don't even have to hear it, man. How high you want to go? You want to stay in 440 or you want to suit up? The throne. The throne. Alright. Then they'll show you with using paint. Sound. Or maybe that's just colored sand, should I say. He put a sound vibration on it with that tool. I don't know how this one works, but go ahead and study it. Check it out. You know, like those Tibetan singing bowls, they're also in 432 hertz. This is just sound and vibration, people. Vibration. If it can happen to this, it can happen to you. This is an abstract version of what's happening in you right now. This is how they see it. In reality, it's you. So yeah, you can check out more, you know, figure it out. Oh yeah, let's check some of this out.
Shapes, you know, most of the
circular as well.
most of the mostly circular. You're getting elliptical shapes in trunk one, but wait till you see trunk two.
Okay.
This is all about sound. He's gonna put sound, I think even some type of voice mechanism, be able to speak through it. You're gonna hear his voice. And his voice is going to make these patterns. Meaning that your voice, my sound right now is making a pattern in you. If I'm in the order, then I'm pleasant to listen to, right? I hope so, at least. Listen up. Think about the voice of Heya Heya. Heya Heya. Sound the trumpet. Sound the trumpet. Blow the shofar. Blow the shofar.
See the ellipse?
Oh yes.
Look at that. All sound.
Window into another dimension.
Low the shafar.
11 was very interesting. Cut 2 is amazing because this second track is just like freaked me out completely. I've never seen anything like it.
They're excited about something. What they excited about?
Wait till you see.
The voice? Hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya.
Amazing. I've never seen anything like that. Never. Oh, I'm so moved by it.
Sound.
Here is one of these four.
Vibration, sound. What they get excited about, they're seeing manifestation. Now, I don't know what the hell they were singing. That sounded creepy. That sounded like what you'll hear in Catholic churches, and that's why the acoustics in these buildings are so important. Now, what are they tuned to? Now that you understand, when you go to church and you got all these acoustics, you need to know whoever built your church, what they tuned your acoustics to. Because as you are praying and singing to who you think is Jesus, your acoustics are being tuned to 440 hertz. And I'm just going off a whim. I'm just going to jump and believe that. So you're singing to the God of 440 hertz. You're singing to Lucifer. They've hijacked your energy. They got you in church singing, giving sound vibration. Your church choir, Beyonce, everybody want to sing with the choir. That's all good, but when you do it in their acoustics, it's working for the devil, right? Beyonce could drop her song Lemonade, and we could say, yeah, I love Beyonce because that's your sister, right? But she's tuned to 440, so she's singing for the devil. Based on sound and vibration, period. And that's how Tesla said to break it down, and that's why I keep going back to. Because they, tried to, supplant his work with Einstein. And Tesla was coming out with the free energy, man. So, who you gonna get down with? One of them white boys gotta be right. So Tesla said, break it down. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you gotta break it down into energy, frequency, and vibration. If you want to understand how they're hijacking, you got to think in terms of energy, acoustic sound. And in your churches, that acoustic is going to Lucifer. The Most High is not hearing it because it's not even going past the firmament. How can you be singing to the Creator when you're in 440 hertz? Let's go.
The material travels inwards from the edge along the bottom of the pile, rises up in the middle, and is then carried back to the periphery. Even if the intensity of the vibration changes, there is still a whole system of radial circulation. At certain frequencies, or with certain tones, an extraordinarily interesting phenomenon is seen. Watch. We see two regularly and continuously rotating areas at either end of a diameter.
Rotation.
Going round and round like weathercocks.
Sun and the moon, sun and the moon.
The expression of a rotating wave motion.
Sun and the moon, sun and the
They
moon.
are rotating in an anti-clockwise direction.
Huh. Watch this.
We now switch to a different frequency.
A different frequency.
And produce the same phenomenon, but this time in a clockwise direction.
They go the other
Because
way.
The frequency is different.
Did they change the
If we go
whole?
back to the previous frequency,
Did they flip it all?
we have the same phenomenon again in an anti-clockwise direction. Notice.
So if we're going with the running theory, just vibe with me, surf the wave, love it, or leave it alone. If the acoustics of the pyramids are the acoustics that hijack the frequency of the heritage of the Creator, in Psalm 83 we just dropped that they will form a confederacy against you. So they all get together and say, we're all going to be tuned to this frequency that gets us to these higher mysteries, these luminaries, these celestial planes, time and space. We could be masters of time and space. But they trick you in, because then you get in and it's like, but I can't get you above time and space. I can't get you off the clock. I can't get you above the firmament. Only the children that are pure can connect that way. So what do? They corrupt you. They corrupt your music. And even the best of it, they tune it out of frequency. They put it in a frequency that keeps you below the firmament, only 8 out of 12 octaves. Scientifically, only 8 out of 12 octaves are reached by the frequency of 440. So everything coming out of your radio, your TV, MP3, Spotify, Pandora, any of them, Tidal, any of them are all tuned to 440 hertz. They have formed a confederacy against you to keep you under the firmament, to corrupt you, so you not connect to a frequency above theirs. Then it would be checkmate. You see the way these things are having, revolving based on sound? Now do you understand how the sun and the moon work? Let's go.
That this rotary movement does not affect the circulation or convection in the least. When the wavelengths are short, these currents produce a rotary effect. Areas become defined in which the particles are actually rotating.
Check it out. Wait a minute.
Glycerin, we see
Wait.
the extraordinary things we see here.
You better wait a minute. We got about 10 minutes before the camera cuts off. So if it does, I got to do a part 3. I'm going to try to go super fast. In part 1, remember, we dropped the AE projection. We said, what's chaos, what's order? Remember, we said your Earth. You think your Earth looks like this. This is the Neil deGrasse Tyson version. Get out of here. All right. This is the Neil deGrasse Tyson version. Alright. Now pay attention to the movement. That's supposed to be the currents. Just pay attention to the air currents, okay? The sound, the vibration, right? Is that order or chaos? Aren't they just going anywhere they want to go? That's supposed to be your egg. Remember your egg. Semprapis, Isis, Easter, Ishtar, your egg. Neil deGrasse Tyson still wants you to worship an egg. He gives you an egg. They're worshiping their gods. They're worshiping Lucifer. All you got to do is click on AE to get the so-called flat earth projection, but now you can see it through your creator's eyes, through Hea's eyes, looking down. So then when you see this, you're looking down from the heavens, down onto the Americas, Africa. You're looking down like a bird's eye view. Now, pay attention to the movement. Now you see how it's just going clockwise and counterclockwise. That's supposed to be the currents. That's the winds, right? Those are the portals. The eastern portal, the west portal. If it's counterclockwise, it's east, I guess, or east or west. If it's clockwise, it's east or west. And if it's counterclockwise, it's one of those is east or west. Counterclockwise and clockwise based on this clock. You're on the clock until you vibrate above the firmament. Then you're off of the clock. You're off of space and time. But down here, below the firmament where they keep you with their 440 hertz, they keep you in space and time. Therefore, you're on the clock, and this is a clock. It looks like a clock, you know what I mean? But anyway, you see how things are moving. Now that's order, right? It's not going anywhere it wants to go. They're going clockwise and counterclockwise. All right, my batteries are dying. I'm almost out. And I'll just back up that last little part we just saw.
Notice that this rotary movement does not affect the circulation or convection in the least. When the wavelengths are short, these currents produce a rotary effect.
Doesn't that just look like the map we just
Areas
saw?
become defined in which the particles are actually rotating.
Sound. So you're seeing what happens, and that's what happens in the order. That's what happens in the order.
The extraordinary things we see here are simply and solely the effect of vibration.
Your DNA is reconnecting. You are reconnecting, energetically reconnecting. You understand? So let's keep going. This is all connected, right? The 432 connects with the indigenous drop, connects with the flat drop, connects with, you know what I'm saying, hey. All of it connects with hey. Whether it's an indigenous drop, whether we in 432, whether we talking about Israel. Whether we talking about being flat earth, it's all hey. Now you see it's all connected. That's the sword, hey. I present to you. You learn this sword. You pick this sword up. You have all the corners surrounded. You understand the frequency connecting to the creator to the top. You understand you're indigenous and this is your land by inheritance, by lot. You understand that you are Israel. We don't have to get stuck in titles because we know our people didn't call themselves that. So we know that we are just the seed of the creator. We are the seed that is being redeemed of the creator. And we understand that we're not spinning on a ball of water. As we see order and we see chaos. I showed you the egg and you see chaos. I show you order looking down through the Most High's eyes. You see order. You see everything counterclockwise and clockwise like a clock. All right. Hopefully we got enough time. I don't have my brother's name in front of me, but peace to my brother. You know who you are. Go ahead and check this out. This is the link to a spot called Israel Canyon. It's pretty crazy. It's right there. I'm gonna show you where it is on Google Earth right quick. But check this link out to this actual site called Israel Canyon in Utah. And let's see where Israel Canyon is located in Utah. Let me get my trusty iPad, Google Earth thing going, so y'all can see. Hold up. Okay. Israel Canyon. That's Utah. Let's go in. Let's go that way. All right, what do you see? Utah, Israel Canyon. Let's go in. Let's go in. All right, so you see where it's located? Salt Lake City, Moab. Moab. All right, so you saw that drop where all the cities located in Utah, and Lex Will brought it out again. And now we got Israel Canyon right there. It looks like near where Golden Spike, Utah is. It's Israel Canyon. And you got all that drop from Smooth's perspective, giving you the drop on Zion National Park. There's some interesting drop on Hawaii too, man. There's some weird islands around there that I'll drop later. In the interest of time, don't have time to get more. But yeah, check out that Israel Canyon location. And we just did. So, I mean, I think that's near that Golden Spike area that Lex Will was dropping on as well. And we did get to finish this out last time, so hopefully we get to play the rest of this now. This is the B.o.B. talking about, is he a clone, is he not a clone, and some more great drop that King been dropping, man. So let's close it out with this, do our dismount right, y'all.
Well, our scientists have learned how to make people. They call them synthetics. Are you familiar with those?
Well, actually, we just interviewed John Lear, and he was talking about being in an audience in which they were given a lecture by a guy that they thought was real and found out later he was a hologram.
Well, it's a synthetic. The synthetics, when you touch their skin, it feels like plastic almost. That's the latest technique. The old techniques, you guys can rent a video, the boys from Brazil, rent it, because in it, it gives you the exact way how our government's been making people.
Really?
Yeah,
well,
and the Soviets have a different method.
I mean, making people meaning temporary people?
No, walking, talking.
Listen up. Stay up, suit up, choose up.
Yes, it is scary. And a lot of that fear comes from the fact that we've been programmed to believe that we're the only sentient beings on the planet. On the plane. Some people ask me, if the Earth is flat, man, like, are the other planets flat? Are the stars flat too? You can't hold on to old, obsolete beliefs that you've been taught. Like, everything that you've been taught is a lie. It's programming. Shouts out to all the people who bought telescopes and who got, the cameras with the super zoom so you can actually see it for yourself. You can see this for yourself. I also get asked a lot in my clone. From my understanding, Donald has seen a clone of me in the cloning center. I am memory suppressed. However, I do have memories of what fit the description of the cloning center and the arena. Some people say, are you controlled opposition? Why are you just now talking about cloning? Why are you just not speaking up on these things? You're right to think that, but take this into consideration. If you're familiar with my song, Missing, Dr. Aiden, The Watchers, my new black mixtape, you know that this is not my first time speaking out. I'm just now learning about cloning. Like, I just found out about it a couple months ago. And I was scared as fuck. When I first found out about cloning, I was fucking terrified. Like, supernatural shit was happening around my house. I was jumping out of my sleep, seeing shit. I got all types of knives and guns hanging out of my mattress and my pillows and shit. Like, I had to beef up my security. I was really scared for my life. I literally had to face the fear of death. I thought that when I spoke out about cloning, they were gonna kill me. Like, I swear to God. Oh, Mom. The first time that I contacted Donald, there was a tremendous amount of interference. The footage got distorted. There were helicopters and planes and shit flying over my house. Airplanes. That song was written and produced before I ever got a hold of it. It was actually intended for Lupe. Y'all gotta understand how this shit work in this industry. Like, this shit is all set up. Like, talk to Lupe about airplanes. He'll say, shouts out to Lupe. And also, too, y'all need to pay attention to these other celebrities when they're leaving hints. They're leaving clues all over the place. Everybody can't talk. Everybody can't talk because, you know, they got kids or, you know, they made some type of agreement. But pay attention. Everybody who's in this shit or who's in this industry or who has a clone is not evil or malicious. Some people just got born into this shit, like me. So, I'm still here alive. I don't know why. I don't know why I can talk. Maybe it's because I have some type of amnesty. Or maybe it's because somebody extremely, extremely close to me is a Mason. And I'm protected in that sense. I don't know. But if they wanted to do something with me, I wouldn't have even gotten this far to telling y'all about cloning. So to the people telling me, Bob, I fear for your life, y'all don't worry. I'm in good hands. Just continue spreading the word.
Live. That's the date. 1/24/2016.
Mama, I really hate getting aggressive on this phone with you, mama. I really hate wasting your time to check a clone or two, mama. It's just they cloning me, mama. Them niggas wannabes, mama. It's like...
Stay up, suit up, choose up. Swag frequency.